On today's show, Jalen Williams of OKC goes off for his career high and a win against the Knicks. How did the Thunder get that win? And then Luka Doncic and the Mavericks go down to the quote-unquote Cavs. What happened? What happened to the Golden Boy? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On NBA your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video, and comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section where you're coming from. What's your daily show? Locked On Heat, Locked On Mavs, Locked On Bulls if you're here for Pat. Sorry about it. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that code LockedOnNBA, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. And joining me on a Thursday from Locked On Heat, what you got for me, Wes Goldberg?
Oh, we got a bunch of basketball to get to here. Some interesting stuff going on in a Wednesday night full of hoops.
Some interesting stuff for sure. We'll get a little schadenfreude maybe on talking about the Mavs and Luka Doncic as you're the host of Locked On Heat. What happened? Second half, Mavs just broke down. Their offense got destroyed. No Donovan Mitchell, no Darius Garland, no Evan Mobley. How did the Mavs lose that? How did they blow it against that team? And then we'll play Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. And we got a couple things on there. Bradley Beal, Pistons losing streak continues. I feel like we just continue to talk about the Pistons. It's like once a week, but I guess they did something no one else has ever done, so it's worth it.
It's the most impressive streak in the NBA right now, isn't it?
Is it? Well, Steph Curry's one three-pointer a game streak is over, so LeBron probably has one of like scoring 10 points a game. Is there like a crazy LeBron one?
I still think that's going on, and it's been like a million games, and I think I have that right. But I was looking at this earlier today. Yeah, the longest winning streak in the league right now is 5 games by the Denver Nuggets, who nobody cares about only because we don't really care about their regular season because it doesn't really matter. So like everything else, you got a couple 3-game streaks, a couple 4-game streaks. So congrats to the Pistons. You got the longest, most impressive streak going.
A streak they did not want. Just like some of us in middle school, a streak you did not intend, a streak you did not want. All right, let's get into the Thunder versus the Knicks in this game. The Thunder get the win 129-120, a pretty good matchup. These two teams are next to each other alphabetically, but they are very, very different teams if you look at them. Jalen Williams led the way with 36 points, a career high for him. What did you see from Jalen Williams, and then how did the Thunder get this win?
I saw 36 points from Jalen Williams, and it just felt like every time the Knicks felt like they had something figured out, something else sprung a leak in their defense, right? And Jalen Williams is the headliner, right? Because he had his career high. Guess who else had 36 points in this game? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Chet Holmgren had 22 points in this one, right? But it's like this team, when they're going like this, is so scary. And I know that J-Dub had the 36 points in this one, but to me, the thing that stood out to me was a pass that he made to Chet Holmgren in the fourth quarter. The Knicks, he comes off a screen. Jalen Williams comes off a screen. The Knicks finally send 2 to the ball. They're like, okay, enough of this guy, right? We're going to send Josh Hart and Taj Gibson, both of them to the ball. That leaves Chet Holmgren wide open. He had not made a 3-pointer the entire game until Jalen Williams kicks it out to him wide open, drains the 3-pointer, and you could just see the Knicks just throwing their hands up. They're like, what are we going to do? When they're going like this, that team is terrifying. I don't know that there's anybody that could stop them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like you said, 36 points. What's new? But Williams is capable of doing this.
That one's the J-Dub one.
That's the J-Dub one. He's capable of doing this. We already know what Chet is capable of.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if we know the answer to that question. Like, we know what Chet is capable of, because there are some things in this game where you watch it. I'll ask a question about Chet later, but I don't know if we know what he was so good in this game. The thing that you mentioned about the double teams, the last 5 minutes, OKC ate those up. Just ate those double teams up. The Knicks trying to throw it at SGA and ball handlers every once in a while. Like, they just pass the right guy. They have just enough ball handlers and movers and shooters, like with Chet, with Dort, with Giddey at times with Jalen Williams. Like they just have guys all over the court that can do all kinds of different things. And like you mentioned earlier, the difference between these two teams to me, especially in this game, like from the end of the third quarter to the fourth, where the Thunder really like took back the lead and then like just like sealed it. Then the Knicks had like the OKC got mismatches on switches on offense, and the Knicks do not get mismatches on switches against the Thunder, in the sense that like you try to like get switched on by the Thunder, and it's Chet, Jalen Williams, SGA, right, and Dort and Giddey, who's big, and like they just have these athletes all over the place. And then you look at the Knicks side of things, and like they had Taj Gibson out there. That's a mismatch. He gets switched on you. Isaiah Hartenstein, mismatch if you get a quick guard on him. Same with Randle for the most part. Then you have Brunson and Quickly. You get them switched on you, and you can like power through them or go over the top because they're small guards. Like I think the difference in the mismatches on the switches, I felt was a really big difference in this game.
The thing with the Thunder that really stands out isn't even the shooting, even though they're second best 3-point shooting team in the league right now by percentage. It's that everybody can handle the ball. Yeah. Everybody is a weapon. Everybody is dangerous. Like you said, to attack those mismatches, you put Taj Gibson on them, they're on any of these guys, and maybe with the exception of like Lou Dort, but even he could do stuff every once in a while. It's scary. And the thing that stands out to me too, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams, they both scored 36 points tonight, but they do it so differently. You know what I mean? Like Shai's got that wiggly, wiry, kind of like a Luka Doncic, like, hey, let me use angles, get to my spot kind of game.
If Luka was built like Gumby.
Right. and Jalen Williams is just like, if you give me a sliver of space, that's just enough for me to get the momentum that I need, get to my first step, start getting downhill, and then use my frame and my strength just to get to the basket. And he's got like no chill when it comes to getting to the basket. Zero chill for Jalen Williams. You give me this sliver and I'm going. And I think that throws off defenses, whether it's the Knicks or these other defenses, when Williams is going like this.
Well, the Thunder had him add weight over the offseason. I was trying to look it up before. I couldn't find the exact number, but I know he's added at least like 10, 15 pounds of like what they call good weight, I guess, like right, the muscle watch and in training camp. Like they had him add weight, and you saw
opposite of the weight that I've gained in these last couple of weeks. Right.
Well, and you just got married, right? So
I did. Right. Happy weight.
You gained weight right there as well. He was scoring on all three levels. He hit 5 field goals at the rim, and you could just every one of those, it felt like he was pushing somebody out of the way. It could be Randle, could have been anybody. Like it didn't matter who was going at him, that he could push. He hit 3 mid-range shots where they're like little step back like leaners, and then he had 5 he hit 5 of his 5 threes, and they were step backs. I mean, he was scoring on all 3 levels. He had 17 points in the fourth quarter. It was, I mean, my question about him is like, how good can he be? Like, what's the ceiling for a Jalen Williams?
I really don't know. I'm watching this game and I'm like, is that Kawhi? Like peak Kawhi? And it's crazy, but that's what he looked like tonight, you know? And so I don't want to put a limit on him. I'm not going to put a ceiling on him. I'm not going to put a ceiling on Shai. I'm not going to put a ceiling on Chet. And that's it. I keep using this word, but they're scary, you know? And I think they're scary in the future. I think they're scary right now. And I'm kind of been one of these guys lobbying for them to say, okay, cool. The draft picks and all that stuff, that's cute. Go make a move. Like the West is wide open. One injury to the Nuggets and who knows what can happen, right? Like just go for it. And I think they could use like one more score, one more big man. They got out rebounded by the Knicks tonight pretty badly. That's why the Knicks were able to kind of hang in there at the end of this thing. A bunch of turnovers early for the Thunder didn't help either, but go make a move, add like one more scorer, shooter off the bench, one more big man, a guy who can really rebound. I've got some names in mind, but we don't have to do that show right now. But I think it's theirs for the taking if they want to go make a move.
Jalen Williams is 23 in April, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Shout out April babies. Let's go.
Good. Well, I don't know what sign that is, like astrological sign. That's not.
I should probably know.
You got?
Do you have his exact one? I think I'm an Aries.
April 14th.
I'm April 16th, and I'm pretty sure I'm an Aries.
Oh, you're like right there with him.
Yeah. April babies. Let's go.
He's also listed on Basketball Reference as a power forward / shooting guard. I don't know how many players in NBA history have ever been named.
No, same. That's what it means to be an Aries. We're both power forward / shooting guards. I think that was in the newspaper this morning.
My other question was going to be, how good can Chet be? Because Chet in this game I thought was just so great, especially down the stretch. He had that insane rim protection block, kind of a block against Isaiah Hartenstein in the fourth. He hit that 3 that you mentioned. 22 points, only had 5 rebounds, but he plays away from the basket so much, but he had 4 blocks in this game. I mean, this is his first year.
And he's a defensive player of the year candidate. And he's the favorite right now for Rookie of the Year. FanDuel has him, I think, 4th or 5th for Defensive Player of the Year odds last I checked. He's again, no ceiling on him, but I don't think people's minds would be blown if Shai and Chet both ended up being like top 12 guys in the next 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's fully in the realm of possibilities for the Thunder. Plus, however good Jalen Williams could be.
Rookie of the Year, FanDuel has Chet at -195. Victor Wembanyama is +135. And then,
oh, wow, it went to plus. Okay.
And then your boy Jaime Jaquez is plus 4,500.
Okay,
that
it
is
was
the
plus
next
5,500 a week ago. So people are, that Christmas Day game helped him out.
My guy, Derek Lively, who's maybe the most impactful rookie on this whole list, is off the board. Not even plus 25,000 on FanDuel. And then for Defensive Player of the Year for Chet, he's plus 900. He's behind Anthony Davis at plus 65 or plus 650, and then minus 150 for Rudy Gobert. So Gobert's the favorite, but Chet is third. Yeah, he's above Embiid is plus 2,000. Jaren Jackson Jr. is plus 2,600. Bam Adebayo is plus 2,600. I mean, Chet is. That's wild to me. He's very good. This team is very good. They get this win against the Knicks. It was a solid win for them. And coming up, let's talk about what happened. I guess it's a solid win for the Cavs. I guess we'll give them credit at this point. But what happened to Luka Doncic and the Mavs at the end of that one? We'll talk about that coming up. Today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered with all kinds of parts for your car, and they've teamed up with the GOAT, Josh Lloyd, the GOAT of fantasy basketball from Locked On Fantasy Basketball, to give you players each and every week that will help your fantasy lineup, the eBay Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Players of the Week. Let's talk about one that we just talked about, Isaiah Hartenstein. According to Josh Lloyd, it appears Mitchell Robinson is out for the season, and Isaiah Hartenstein is a clear add. If he is available, he goes to this game against the Thunder and plays, what did he play? Like 37 minutes in this game. Didn't put up a ton of stats, but he's going to give you stuff here and there. He'll give you some rebounds, give you some points, maybe block a shot or two here or there. He almost got one at the end, and then it was called a foul against Chet Holmgren. So check out Isaiah Hartenstein for your fantasy team. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being the right fit. Same with your vehicle. They have 122 million parts to choose from. They have more than that, which is crazy. So they know that everything needs to be the exact right fit. You don't want to get a part and then realize it doesn't fit and have to send it back and do all that and go through everything. So they have the eBay Guaranteed Fit. That means it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or you get your money back. Plus, at these prices, you know that you're burning rubber and not cash. Keep your ride or die live at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions, they do apply. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Being an everyday or listening to this show, we have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. We also have the Locked On Sports 24/7 stream, where we have all of our national shows will be on there. It's on YouTube. It's on Fire Stick TV now, I think. It's on News On, that app. It's on a whole bunch of stuff right now. You can check out. You can watch Locked On 24/7 forever and just taste little shows here and there and see which ones you like. And some people listen to Locked On Mavs and they're like, I'm not even a Mavs fan. I had people comment and be like, let me know if you're from a different show. And it was like really surprising to me. So you never know what show you're going to like across Locked On. It could be Locked On Heat. Go check out Locked On Heat.
I was watching Locked On Big Ten randomly, like the other day.
Craig.
I was like, why am I even watching this? But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Craig putting on a good show over there.
Yeah.
The Mavs did not put on a good show. Actually, in the first half, they did. They had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. No Donovan Mitchell. No Darius Garland. No Evan Mobley. Donovan Mitchell was kind of like a late scratch. He was questionable. He warmed up for like 2 hours before the game. They were about to announce a starting five, and he was still out there shooting around. And then he decided not, or that then he didn't play with an illness. He's had this weird shoulder and an illness and all. I don't know. He didn't play. So it's the starting lineup for the Cavs was this: your boy Max Strus, Jared Allen, Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, and then Craig Porter Jr. Not Michael, not Kevin. Craig Porter Jr. at this point. And the Mavs going to halftime, you're feeling pretty good about them. They're up. You're like, okay, 65-54. Defense wasn't that great in the second quarter, but you're like, all right, we can make this work. Luka's got it. He's been destroying them. He had 20 points in the first quarter. He felt like he was walking through this team. And then the second half comes, and the Mavs just collapse. No Kyrie for the Mavs, but an inexcusable, embarrassing loss for the Mavs.
They lost this game during a 5-minute stretch in the fourth quarter where they did not make a basket. They missed 10 straight shots in the fourth quarter. Now, a couple of them they should have made, right? Like Seth Curry had an open one in the corner. He missed it. Sometimes that happens. Lively missed a putback. That was weird. Sometimes it happens. But they also weren't great looks, and you credit Cleveland's defense for locking up when they needed to. But, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, Nick, because you cover this team every day, but they're really starting to miss not having Kyrie Irving in there.
I didn't even say that one time on Locked On Mavs today because I'm not even going there with this team because there's just no way you lose a game like this. I mean, it just doesn't work. And this Mavs team has been a team that takes care of business and has beaten the teams they're supposed to. I think they were like 12-2 against. It changes because the records change every day, but they were 12-2 against teams below 500. They're 11-2. They're 11-2 now. A team apparently dropped, but they've beaten these teams. They've taken care of business, and this is one of those games that you think that they should have. Now, Luka was questionable before the game. I don't know if you give him any credit for that, but it just felt like the second half they couldn't get anything going. It felt like they were not motivated in the third quarter. It felt like Luka was just trying to distribute and get to the ball to shooters and like try to get everybody going. And then there's a weird thing where Luka didn't get to go back in the game in the fourth quarter. He's been playing like the entire second half of games recently with Kyrie out. And that's where they actually miss him the most, is that Luka has to play the majority of second halves and just to win some of these games they're supposed to. But he only plays like 5.5 minutes in the fourth quarter. There were times when he was like going to Jason Kidd and be like, "Hey, put me back in the game." And Kidd's like, no, like, just rest and sit there. We got this. And apparently they did not got this.
They did not. And then when he is in there and he's logging all these minutes and stuff, you've got Cleveland just sending hard doubles at him. And that's been happening a lot more with Luka too.
So much.
Like just sending the hard double. It happened on the last play of this game. George Niang ends up missing 2 key free throws at the end after the Mavericks intentionally fouled him. And they have the ball down 3 on their side of the court. And they send a hard double on Luka, including Jarrett Allen. So like Luka has no way to pass over him. And he finds Curry, and then nothing really happens. Max Drew sort of blocks it, gets a finger on it, and that's the end of the ball game. But it was hard double after hard double. And yet still, Nick, despite the doubling, despite the aggressive defense from Cleveland, Luka still took 7 of Dallas's final 11 shots in the final 4 minutes. That tells me he does not trust his teammates. He doesn't trust any of those guys to make the shots and quite frankly, I don't blame him. I'm not even like, this isn't like an anti-Luka thing.
Shot 27% from 3.
There's no reason to trust your teammates at this point, and that's got to be wearing on him and the team.
I'm gonna zig here. They have been amazing at double teams. They have been destroying these double teams. I literally had a segment that I entitled, after the Suns game on Christmas, I entitled it, "Have the Mavs mastered double teams on Luka?" Because they've been so good at this. And yet this was a game where they really struggled on these. They just didn't feel like they were, like, the role players were in the right spots. You didn't have a role player really go off except for Seth Curry in this game. You usually have like a Derrick Jones Jr. or a Grant Williams or somebody hit like 3 or 4 or 5 threes. The Dante Exum against the Lakers game where he hit 7 threes is, a big one that stands out. They just didn't have anybody like that. And the key change I thought that the Cavs made was, you mentioned earlier, Jarrett Allen was kind of like guarding Luka, and then they would send somebody else. And I thought Jarrett Allen really bothered Luka because he's got quick enough feet that he can stay in front of him, and his length is, he's one of the lengthiest players in the NBA. And I thought that really bothered him because the Mavs played small. And so he didn't have what the Mavs have been doing with double teams is Lively will go to the free throw line. Luka will then just kick it to Lively. And he's been making the right decision over and over and over again. It's been one of the most impressive things about him as a 19-year-old rookie. But they really struggled in this. And then I'm just rubbing my face because they can't get a shot off. And this has happened over and over and over again. It happened last year so much. Jason Kidd, with the understatement of the year after the game, says, they didn't get this. What did he say? His exact quote was, "We just missed the screen for Luka." And that's it. It happens. We got to get better at it. Just an understatement to not even get a shot off when you got 10 seconds left, like this gift of George Niang missing those free throws. And then 10 seconds left, you call the timeout, you get the ball over half court, like just lined up for Luka to get a shot. And he just couldn't even get one off.
it's kind of the opposite of the Thunder, the team we were just talking about, right? Where in that Oklahoma City lineup, whatever lineup they put out there, okay, all 5 guys I'm scared of. All 5 guys could put the ball on the floor and make something happen. That's not the case for the Dallas Mavericks. And they're trying to create two-way players out of a bunch of one-way players, right? It's toggling between the Josh Greens and the Seth Currys and the Grant Williams and the Derrick Jones Jr.'s. Like Grant Williams, Derrick Jones Jr., good defensive players, kind of limited offensively. Like Seth Curry, good offensive player, a little bit limited defensively. So, and he's toggling between these guys. I mean, in the fourth quarter, he literally went Josh Green to Curry, Hardaway in for Green, Lively in for Grant Williams, and he's kind of just going back and forth, just trying to figure out a lineup that works. I do want to talk about Cleveland a little bit because you mentioned the injuries. I don't know that there's been a team that's been dealing with worse injury luck in the league this season than the Cavs, and they're 6-4 in their last 10. And winning this game, they're back in 6th place now in the Eastern Conference. Like, it looked like this all was going to fall apart at the seams for Cleveland,
so bad.
and they were bad, right? And people were questioning JB Bickerstaff's coaching and Donovan Mitchell. Is he here for very long? And that was the trade rumor of the week for basically all of last week and the week before that. And they've managed to keep things together and maybe save their season here during this stretch, depending obviously when these guys get back. But Garland and Mobley are expected back, I think, in January at some point. So if they can keep these good times rolling, then I don't know. Maybe we buried the Cavs too early, but it was an impressive win for them. We got to give them credit.
Yeah, this is one of those fake wins, though, that you could look back on and be like, oh, there's still time for it to fall apart, right? If those vibes are bad, like it's coming from somewhere. The smell is coming from inside the house or under the house or in the...
Well, one of the smelly bad vibe guys wasn't playing tonight, so...
He was not. So we'll see. But there
I'm
you go.
not talking about Sam Merrill.
Just Sam, everywhere he goes, man. Sam Merrill, just destroyer of teams.
What's that smell?
Coming up, let's talk about the Detroit Pistons. 27 losses in a row. It's a record. How many more will they get? We'll talk about that and more. And coming in, Count It Up, coming up. Today's episode brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You can go to prizepicks.com and you just pick the more or less on projections on players. So all you have to do is go log into Prize Picks and you can do NBA players, NFL players, college football. We got that coming up with some of the bowls coming up. So you can pick like, let's go with, I feel like when I ever open this site, oh my gosh, Jokic against the Grizzlies, 49.5 points, rebounds, assists. Give me more on that with Jokic. I can go John Morant, 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists against the Nuggets. Give me less on that one. I'm going to combine that with, why is Joe Flacco on here? Why is Joe? I've not paid attention enough.
He plays for the Browns now. No, you didn't. You did not just step into a time machine. Don't worry.
No, he plays for the good God, Jared. Let's go. Dak Prescott, less than 282.5 passing yards. I put all those together. I put down $20. I can win 100. If I put down $100, I can win $500 on that one on the power play. That's prizepicks.com. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNBA. Make sure it's all lowercase, Locked On NBA. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Being in every day or listening every day, we have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. All right, it's that time of the week where we talk about the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. It's
Big Chicken, baby. Zion Williams and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
West, the Detroit Pistons set the record for the most consecutive losses in a row in a single season, 27. My question is,
Count it up.
how many more losses will they get? Here's their schedule. At the Celtics, home for the Raptors, at Houston, at Utah, at Golden State, at Denver, home for Sacramento, home for San Antonio. Then it is home for Houston and then at Washington.
So the San Antonio one is, I think, the one that everybody could circle. But, and I will say this, you want to just sort of crash course 2 seasons from hell. The Detroit Pistons and the Golden State Warriors. I mean, can you imagine the headlines? Can you imagine the headlines on January 6th after that? I mean, First Take is collectively rooting for the Warriors to lose that game. It would be a field day of content. And so I'm going to go ahead and say that one. I don't know what the number was because I missed count on the schedule there. 4 or 5. Yeah.
The former Locked On Warriors host going at the Warriors, saying they're gonna break the Pistons.
Sometimes
streak.
you're just too close to a situation. You know what I mean?
When does Draymond come back? Right? We're pretty far away from that, right?
Well, Woj said something like 11 to 13 games missed, so I don't think he would be back in time. But we also have no idea.
This is worth looking up at this point because I need to know if we're getting close. See, he's missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games already.
Getting close.
He's missed 6. His first one back, and they lose to the Pistons would be amazing.
That would be
7,
the ultimate
8,
content.
9, 10. It would be 11 games, I think. Maybe 12 if you count the first game he was out. Is that right in the wheelhouse? Is he going to be back?
Right in that wheelhouse.
Oh my gosh. Draymond,
Collision course.
This is the story. Draymond comes back for the Pistons game and they lose to the Pistons. It's in
After
Golden State
Draymond
too.
gets thrown out. Who does Draymond get into a fight with on the Thunder?
The easiest, the leader in the clubhouse is Isaiah Stewart.
Yes.
Beef Stew just clocks him across the face. They both get ejected. And then they lose in Oracle or what in Golden. What's their
Chase Center now.
Chase Center. Oh, stupid. So there you go. So if they lose to Golden State, if they win to Golden State, that means that it'll be 27-28, 29, 30, 31 losses in a row.
That's a lot of losses in a row. Congratulations, Detroit. We're finally talking about them. It's been years.
That's true. We are talking about
Like what? Since Ben Wallace? Like
Coup of Locked On Pistons wishes we were talking about them less, I think.
It's probably true.
It also feels like he's getting stronger as the losing streak continues. Like
it's one of the things that, like, you know how if you go on like a bad betting stretch where you're like, I should almost win money because I keep picking losers, and it's almost as impressive as just picking winners.
You're like, do the opposite.
At some point, the Pistons should start giving them wins because it's almost unheard of. I never thought it would be possible in today's NBA with like 3-point variance and all these things and injuries and stars sitting games and all these things for a team to actually lose this many games in a row. At some point, we should just say, this is so impressive. Here's just a couple wins. We'll just add them onto your record. We won't take any losses to other teams, but we're just going to pad your record with a few wins. The
problem is the stars aren't resting anymore, so they don't get to duck.
Oh, that's right. We're not allowed to say that the stars still rest.
Speaking of stars in quote-unquote resting, Bradley Beal is owed $160 million over the next 3 seasons. By the end of this season, he will have gone 5 straight seasons not having played 60 games. So he is not qualified for MVP or first or All-NBA or any of that.
Oh, well, that MVP bet I made on Bradley Beal before the season isn't going to be any good.
Someone out there is holding that ticket going, dang.
I thought this was it.
My question is,
Count it up.
on a scale of 0, meaning they're fine, like everything's okay, it's still a good move, to 5, they completely screwed up. How much did the Suns screw this up by getting Bradley Beal?
5. Like, how could it not be a 5?
Screw up.
It's a full screw up. They screwed it up, man. Like, Bradley Beal being, like, you had the numbers right there. He doesn't play games. Him being injured is the least shocking thing ever. You know what would have been more surprising is if he played more than 60 games, and so I didn't like the deal at the time for Phoenix. I understand that the Chris Paul thing wasn't the right fit, and I feel like the conversation just ends at that part. Well, like, Chris Paul didn't fit here, and just imagine if it was Bradley Beal shooting those corner threes in the playoffs last year instead of Chris Paul, who was either missing them or just driving baseline set. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can hear that, but it's hard to imagine Bradley Beal being that player because he's never on the floor. The thing that we keep missing, though, in that conversation is the opportunity cost. Maybe you could have traded Chris Paul for something else. Maybe you could have traded him for depth that would have helped this team or a different star. Or could you imagine if it was Zach LaVine in Bradley Beal's place? Like, that would be a better fit at this point than Beal in Phoenix.
The current Bulls record would disagree with you on that.
It's true.
He stopped playing games and all of a sudden they started winning.
This isn't good because he's got the no trade clause. The contract is what it is. Like, this is a full-fledged 5. Like, that, it could be the move that prevents Kevin Durant and Devin Booker from winning a championship together. That, I don't think that's even hyperbolic. You look what his salary is on those books. Like, that's just what it is.
I think there are other things keeping Kevin Durant and Devin Booker from winning a title together. But we'll see what else. But this Bradley Beal, to me, it's a 3. It's like, it's bad. It's really bad, but we still haven't seen Beal and Durant and Booker enough together. What are we ever going to get to, I guess, is the question we still just don't have the answer to because he's been injured so much. That's just brutal. It's a brutal one. Okay, I got 2 more. I want to do them quick. The Wizards hit a late 3 to cover the spread against the Warriors. It was 11.5. Gary Payton's on the bench. Him and Steph and Chris Paul are cracking up about something. And then Wizards hit the 3. They cover the spread, and all of a sudden they show Gary Payton in full Home Alone, hands on face, mouth wide agape. Look, and Curry is cracking up. Chris Paul is cracking up. My question is,
Count it up.
do you think they knew the spread, and should players know spreads for games and be aware of things like this?
They did know the spread. I'll give this a 3, even though I'm not really sure what that scale is.
There's no numbers. There's no numbers.
There's no numbers, but 3 equals yes. No, they knew. They know the spread, and they have to know the spread because it's so out there now that I think everybody just knows the spread. I don't know that these players would have known the spread 5 years ago, but because sports gambling is so much a part of the game now, and it's advertised on all the scores and all the box scores and all that kind of stuff. I think they knew the spread.
TVs,
also
on the TVs, like in arenas, you walk around and there'll be like things like on a lower, like a bottom scroll thing that'll have the spread on it.
And the ultimate Jordan Poole win over against his former team, right? Like we just covered the spread, and that's winning for Washington this year, you know?
I mean, it is. They definitely knew what it was. They were laughing about something before the 3 even happened. So I kind of wonder if like he was just still shocked by something crazy Chris Paul said about like Scott Foster or, whatever he was talking about. But
right. Yeah,
so I wonder that. My last one is about Scott Foster. Scott Foster in the Christmas Day game with the Lakers had the LeBron like chase down block where it was challenged, it was reviewed, and Scott Foster goes after he goes to the mic. He sits there, and this is kind of a new thing that the NBA has added recently, where the NBA, like the referee, will talk to the people in the arena and the people on TV. And Scott Foster said, after review, it was a good block by LeBron James. All the Lakers fans and the whole place goes like screaming, they're excited, like yeah. And he goes, however, you guys aren't gonna like this, and then continues to say it was a foul, Torian Prince or whoever it was. My question is, do you like that refs are talking straight to the crowd now and responding to them, or is this a slippery slope?
It's creepy, especially when they look like they make eye contact with the camera, and it looks like Scott Foster's just looking into your soul. While Bill Kennedy's the best at it.
He's so good.
He's like kind of checking his hair, like kind of like fixing the collar, like right before he goes on there too. I feel like he does the thing
where he like. It's like he's putting his arm up on the bar, but it's not really. He like turns one shoulder and like looks straight at the camera.
Right. And he puts like one hand beneath the bicep to just pop it out a little bit more.
He's like Sam Malone on Cheers when he does that.
So it's a slippery slope as long as it's Scott Foster involved. I don't know.
Oh, Pat would be mad about my Cheers reference. He makes fun of all my old white references. I think it's a slippery slope because we're talking about Scott Foster, who already does like the most extra things when he calls like an offensive charge or something, and he like throws his fists and runs and like makes it about himself. And we have this whole Chris Paul feud that like everybody knows about, which is why it affects the spread of game. Like it's crazy. I think it's a slippery slope that they're talking directly to the fans in the arena too, because eventually we're gonna get a ref that goes to one of these and is like, hey, listen, I made this call. He's going to like go at, like some ref is going to like lose it and go at some fans.
That's not how we do things here in San Antonio. We're classy. Something like that.
Yeah.
For example.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Except for it'll be a ref this time. So let us know in the comment section what you think about that. What you think about the refs talking, what team you're coming here from. And tomorrow, it's Camille Davis from Locked On Bucks. She's great, rising star, and Adam Mares. That'll be a good one from Locked On NBA. So make sure you come back tomorrow. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA. Boom.
You said that was going to be a fun segment when we start talking about the Pistons.